I found myself in a supermarket, not unlike the one I used to work at on this physical life level. A supermarket on the real side. As I wandered down the various aisles, it was very apparent that nobody here could perceive me. I continued on and found myself in the fresh produce section, amongst still further individuals oblivious to my presence. For amusement purposes, I began to attract the shop goers' attentions by rolling fruit down the aisles, displacing some displays, and have the vegetables tumbling to the floor. Naturally, this caused quite the reaction, for to the individuals witnessing this, it would seem as though the supermarket was beset with poltergeists, maybe, as the fruits and vegetables rolled to the floor and along the aisles, seemingly of their own accord. Then I realized that of all the bewildered individuals, one of the workers in the process of stock replenishment could see me, and so I would engage him in a dialogue. My awareness was on the real side here, and I was amongst individuals who lacked much by way of awareness. Physical, astral, literalized peoples. I may have wandered into then a collective extension of individuals' personal considerations recreated here. Unaware individuals will still dream and go into creation beyond the physical, according to their created consciousness and what the personal self wants to see, although limited in their potential destinations by their recognitional inadequacy. A recognition that won't extend beyond the physical astral. Many will recreate scenes and situations from the physical if they have a focus there, and may not even be aware they are in supermarkets and such as they sleep, according to the extent by which they can recall their dreams, the decided upon impact of the sensor, and their recognition of the places they go to or recreate. If we enter the scenes they are in, have created, or where they happen to be on the real side, they may not even register our presence. With focus lacking, they will not be operating from a real self-nowness position, and as such, just as they are on the physical, will not be focusing on what life is showing them in every new moment. It's very possible then that were we to manipulate features of the scene we share with them, they may not see the hand that causes the manipulation, their lack of recognition at the position they are in may have them view the scene through the filters of their created consciousness. They can only recognize that which they are aware of, a comparatively limited set of physical references and decided upon ideas. That is the structure of their created consciousness. What people decide and limit themselves to is their experience, and they can't see anything past it unless they decide to see more. Until they do, it's as though everything else beyond their created consciousness experience can't feature in their reality. It just hits up against the wall they have created that obscures anything other than what they have decided to be aware of. And so individuals of different degrees of awareness and recognition can be standing in the same spot in creation, on the real side, and see completely different things according to their individual personal creation blocks, to the extent that someone with recognition of the ears can be standing anywhere in creation and have access to everything, can be everything, like a guide, like a real guide would be. This individual who could see me would explain how he had been granted with the ability to perceive beyond the physical into the astral, as it were, while still operating in his wakened state on the physical and going about his routines. As it transpired, he was an individual who was with the real guides too, and was on his journey, and due to his particular created consciousness, this ability to see the astral from the physical was something the guides had granted him. Everyone is unique in their created consciousness, and so different methods will be employed to assist each individual on their journey of ears recognition. What works for one may not be so effective for another. In this case, the guides afforded this individual this facility to be able to recognize and perceive the astral from the physical, whereas for some this might be rather alarming, and so wouldn't be as effective. Consequently, it's possible then that I may well have been on the real side and on the astral here, but having my awareness on both the astral and the physical, in whatever dimensional version of a supermarket of Earth this was. We are everywhere simultaneously, in accordance with our real awareness with the ears, but while on our process, and with the recognition of our real selves through our created personal self. The experiences are individual scenes, and for the personal self, as we focus on one specific part of ourselves to view an experience for a viewpoint and comparison. So here I was on the astral, but my awareness extended to a place in life beyond where my experience was stemming from, viewing the physical from the astral, but not having a form there that others could perceive. This is something the reptilians do, as an example, operating from the astral, but manipulating on the physical. They are able to operate between these two levels at will. And I have had a real side experience once before, where I witnessed the slaughter of humanoids on the physical from unseen assailants, unseen to them, but from my viewpoint I could see the reptilians exacting this carnage from the astral, an extreme example of how the physical can be manipulated from the astral. And here I was doing likewise, rolling apples and vegetables up and down the aisles from the astral level, on this physical level here, confirmed by the individual who told me of his guide-granted ability to see the astral from the physical life level. Some individuals can see the reptilians also from the physical level as they operate on the astral, as often it has been reported that reptilians will sit and listen to the Skype sessions, and they have been seen crawling all over the EC seminars, etc. Some individuals would not be very comfortable seeing these reptilians from the physical, and as I mentioned earlier, the guides facilitate what they deem best for each individual. For some, such phenomena may claim too much of their focus also, that they may become absorbed in all that they can see of the astral from the physical, more so than their focus on becoming more aware. So such ability can become a personal self-pursuit. We might chase the phenomena that is in creation, as opposed to being objective to it, from the viewpoint of our real awareness. So again, this might feature in a real guide's decision as to if an individual ought be granted this ability or not. The individual who could see me would mention one more curious thing, curious to my personal self at any rate, and perhaps my recognition didn't allow the best interpretation of his final statement, or that it was blocked to an extent when bringing it back for my personal self-consideration. He said he was being guided also by the great white whale in conjunction with the guides. We will always be receiving more information and training than our personal self will know, and according to the personal self dictates the extent to which we bring back experience. Sometimes information or detail is obscured and made symbolic to test and strain our recognition, that we must stretch ourselves to be more aware of and recognize more, that would allow for a greater interpretation of each experience. Sometimes, too, information may be prevented from reaching the personal self, if the real self and the guides deem the withholding of information necessary. Personal selves are of a particular, and until the individual graduates to a certain state of awareness and recognition, the personal self may not always be completely trusted with knowledge,